TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host,
Matthew 24, verse 6. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Mac Daddy Del Norte, did you hear any rumors today?
Oh man, I heard a lot of rumors today.
Yeah,
It
was kind of a crazy morning, huh?
Yes, it was. Definitely.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because woke up and heard something about the airport.
Yeah, I know. It was so early in the morning.
Yeah.
Everything got
It was
canceled.
quite a way to start the day.
It was a quiet morning up in the sky.
It wasn't so quiet on the ground because it was not quiet up in the sky.
Exactly.
Or because it was quiet up in the sky.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, sometimes the unexpected happens.
Uh-huh.
And
Definitely.
sometimes it can be not just a rumor, but actually a real thing.
True.
And how are we supposed to respond to that?
I know, man.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and a little bit in the financial context.
Uh-huh.
And we have a very special guest with us.
Oh, how so?
Do you know why he's special?
Yeah, because he is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
He is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God. Also, he's I think it's safe to say he's a regular on this program.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, normally he comes with his compadre. Is that a good word?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. His companion. They come and we talk financial, all kinds of stuff. Last time they talked about how they started Glide scooter business.
Oh yes, definitely.
That was a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
We talk a lot about just financial planning.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the part of the program where I say nothing in this broadcast is in any way to be construed as financial advice.
Yes.
Informational purposes only. We're just two guys talking. If you need financial advice, find a licensed professional.
Yeah.
Reach out to them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But we're going to be talking about world events and financial planning.
Okay.
And just our response as believers.
Nice.
Because there will be, it's funny, what did Jesus promise?
Mm-hmm.
Like we think, he promised us health. He promised us the good life. But he said, all people will hate you because of me. And then here we have this other promise. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars.
Oh, yeah.
Such things must happen.
Yeah.
But the end is still to come.
Yes.
So the end hasn't come yet.
Yes, exactly.
But there's going to be a lot of chaos.
Exactly.
This morning, I don't know if we should call it a false alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Something did happen. We don't know exactly what that was.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just kind of all these different reports coming through. But it was a good reminder that if we have faith that we are living life with God, our response maybe should be a little bit different than those who don't know the Lord.
That is true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we're going to be jumping into all these things. We do have a special guest, not just because he's the unique expression of an endlessly creative God, but he's one of the founding partners at TrueVise Financial Planning.
Nice.
Have you ever heard about TrueVise Financial Planning on this radio station?
Oh, yes. All day long.
All
day
long. TrueVise Financial Planning. Good folks over there. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Mr. Jonathan Lopez. Jonathan, welcome back.
Andy, what's up? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. We missed Drew today, but very good to sit down with you.
Weird. It's weird just taking the whole table to myself.
Exactly. But how did your day start off today?
Same way as pretty much everybody else.
Yeah.
I make the bad habit mistake of the first thing when I wake up in the morning, I grab my phone.
Yeah.
And saw all the alerts. Went on Twitter or X and started seeing all the craziness, and weird. Such a weird thing to happen. Unprecedented thing to happen.
Yeah. It was crazy. I try to be a good person and not scroll my phone too much in the morning. I have varying success on that. But this morning, we have a radio station employee who goes by the name of Mac Daddy Del Norte. And he had dutifully sent me the latest news in a text message. And I saw that as soon as I woke up. And at first I was like, fake news.
Yeah.
Mac Daddy Del Norte does not know where to get his news.
Yeah.
But then it turned out to be real. Well, the
Real
real thing is
event,
that the airport was shut down.
Exactly.
And the fact that it was unprecedented since September 11th, 2001.
Well, and then even then, that was after an attack, right? This is nothing had actually happened yet, or nothing was documented it happened.
Right.
And then not just that, but the weird part to me was not just having a full ground stop, but saying it's going to be 10 days. It wasn't just full ground stop, temporary,
what
we'll get back
happens.
to you. No,
Oh,
10
good-
days.
Good point. Yeah, good
That
point.
was huge to me because I'm thinking, why arbitrary 10 days?
Yeah,
What's
well-
happening in the
Well,
10
you're a
days?
numbers guy. And
Yeah.
so you saw the numbers right away.
Yes. 10 days was the first thought I had.
Yeah, I guess that did cross the back of my mind. I was more thinking, what happened that created this unprecedented situation? I saw different city leaders speaking out, a lot of conflicting information, and that goes back to the verse I shared at the beginning. Rumors of war, and I'm not saying anyone in city leadership was giving out bad information. They were giving out what they had, which was very little. And they spoke out later that they were unhappy that they didn't even know what was going on. And I guess there's this overwhelming sense that we don't know what's going to happen next, so our life is out of control.
Yeah, and especially I think for us as Americans in the United States, we're so in our own little capsule, in our own little world over here that may be different than Europe, or you were in Russia, another place.
Yeah.
But in the United States, ever thinking that something could actually happen here, I mean, it would never cross our mind.
Yeah.
I know that, we all have, we were talking about before we went on air, some PTSD of COVID. And
Right.
I remember, and I was sitting in the living room with my wife. There was this conversation about, we had just come back from San Francisco. There was this conversation about this virus thing going around. And we were watching an NBA game, and middle of the game, they just stopped it. And then they started taking all the players off the court. And then they just said the game's canceled. And then you started seeing all the other games get canceled. And it sounds dumb, but the NBA, I told my wife, I said, Fallon, this is big. They don't just stop NBA games in the middle of the game.
Right.
And that's when it started to, oh my gosh, this thing is really going to affect us in our daily life and not going to work. And it started to kind of snowball from there. But that's the little bit of a feeling I had this morning of, you're not just stopping all flights. You're stopping, including medical flights, military flights, and you're saying for 10 days?
Yeah.
I mean, this is huge. That was the initial fear and feeling.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because somehow I saw some news blip. And again, we're just talking about what you and I saw on the internet this morning. We're not giving out news right now at all. But I saw there was some restriction that happened in New Orleans. At the same time.
Yes.
And so I was like, so I said to Rachel, my wife, I said, somehow I'm oddly comforted that
At least it's not just here.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're in this with New Orleans. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But immediately it's interesting. My wife and I had different reactions. She was already planning some different things for next week, and she was already working through how to plan it differently.
Oh, interesting.
And I was going through my mind kind of the worst doomsday.
Yeah.
Because we're close to a military base.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I have a family to protect. And, you're going through all these things. And I said, Rachel, don't start planning anything for next week.
Right.
We're 20 minutes into this.
Yes. Yes.
But it's interesting. We hear some information. We want to act on it. We feel like we want to act on it. And what I'm thinking about is you work in financial planning, And this morning underlined the reality that we don't know what's going to happen next. But actually, we never know what's going to happen next. Also, you're a man of faith. You're also interested in numbers. When it comes to financial planning and knowing that we don't have a quote-unquote crystal ball, and yet we need to move in integrity and we need to steward.
Yeah.
How do you balance all of these things?
Yeah, well, even there's a difficulty balancing planning, saving, investing for the future while also just trusting God. And how much should I just be trusting God and how much should I be relying upon myself, my own money, my own investment? So there's always a difficult parallel track there. But this is an example of why when we talk to clients of having an emergency fund and having something to fall back on, and maybe having access to cash inside your home just in case you can't get to a bank or they close the banks or any of these crazy things that not only we thought could happen but have happened, especially recently. They're all reasons why you should have at least some buffer when it comes to your finances. When you don't have a buffer, we don't even need to be talking about ground stop at El Paso International Airport. We can just talk about your car breaks down or your water heater breaks or we have a leak in the floor and we got to punch through the concrete and put new tile. Yeah. So many things can happen and do happen. And when you have a buffer, yes, it's a drag. It hurts. We don't want to spend the money, but it's there.
Yeah.
When you don't have it, that's when you end up not just with the stress of what's going on, but the stress of how am I going to pay for it? Now I have to get into credit card debt. Now I have to, all of these things that come up. It's part of the reason why when we talk about good financial planning always starts with defense, a foundational defense. And that's, again, emergency funds and not having high interest debt and having the correct insurance in place. All the boring, all the boring things nobody wants to talk about. They want to talk about the attractive, fun stock tips.
Right.
Those, we don't even need to be talking about offense until your defense is fully covered. And examples like today are why you want to have that covered.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. It's because I think about how we're talking about world events, catastrophic world events and financial planning, but you started off with family life events because whether there's going to be in the next 5-10 years some worldwide catastrophic event that we cannot even begin to imagine, we don't know. But there's a very high probability that one of the things you mentioned is going to happen.
Right.
A leak in the roof, a water heater that fails,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. And so that is definitely something that we can plan for. I'm going to say this. If you're just joining us with Jonathan Lopez, he's True Vice Financial Planning. We didn't talk about this before we went on air, but if someone wants to call in and ask a question, the phone number is 915-779-0016, 915-779-0016. We'll put you on air. That would be if you have a question concerning financial planning, not if you want to share your thoughts about the airport. But we're talking about this idea that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but what you're saying is there are certain things that we know will happen.
Exactly.
To the tune of $500 or $1,000 or $2,000.
Yes. And I think that's where you start is the defense and making sure you're covered in the event that those things happen. Mm-hmm. Then the next layer is when some of these crazy things happen that are global events or that do affect markets and global markets, then we start having those conversations.
Right.
Of, should I change my 401k investment? Should I pull money out of my stocks or bonds or move money into cash? All of those questions start to come up.
Right.
But those don't come up until you fully take care of the foundation. We don't need to be talking about that. If you have fully taken care of the foundation, and then we start talking about some of those more complex questions. I go back to COVID as an example. Once, I'm not sure exactly what the main news was of the day, but it was right at the beginning of March in 2020. and the global stock market began its huge pullback, crash,
Yeah.
the fastest crash in history. The S&P 500 lost 20+% in a matter of weeks, not even months. And you did have plenty of people thinking, where are we going to go from here? This is just going
Yeah.
to get worse. Should I
Yeah.
move my money? Should I?
Sure.
And then others saying, oh, I know I need to start investing, but maybe I'm going to wait and let's see what happens with the market. And we will use, as planners, we will use that time as an example for probably the rest of our career, because that quick drop recovered back to where it was with even a little bit of gain by August. So from March to August, we had this huge drop, total fear. Where are we going to go from here? What should
Right.
we do? And then in August, it's like it had never happened before. Now up to today, where we're well more than double where we even were in 2020.
Sure.
So the question then that I would have for somebody who's saying, should I move my money? Should I get out? If you do, when do you get back in? When would you have known when the bottom was? Would you have known when the right time to sell or buy was?
Right.
And obviously the answer is no. No one knows. Not the guys sitting on Wall Street or the guys sitting in El Paso, Texas. So what we focus on is the overall holistic plan for the client. Where are we trying to get to? What do we need to get there? How much risk should we be taking throughout our entire plan? And not getting too caught up in the moment. It's getting caught up in the moment that costs individual investors huge returns when compared with large institutional type investors.
Yeah, and I don't claim to be any kind of financial expert at all, but I think the other part of that is, and please speak into this, you're not supposed to invest in stocks. You should be investing in businesses, and you still own the business.
That's a good way to put it. Obviously, the stock is a piece of ownership of the business, but yes, when are we talking about trading, or are we talking about investing and saving? Because trading, people start to think, oh, I'll buy a stock, trade a stock. You're not actually investing in the long-term health and viability of the business, believing that long-term we're going to make a profit and it's going to continue to make a profit. Right. You're looking at the price today and can I make a buck on it tomorrow?
Yeah.
And when we talk about financial planning, we're not trading. We're long-term investors, long-term savers.
Yeah, and the point being, you could look at, the stock value dropping during COVID, but you still own the business. And if you're concerned that the business is going to collapse because of some kind of event, maybe that's not the business you should be investing in.
Sure. Well, it's also part of the reason why we don't believe in owning individual stocks,
right?
Especially when we're talking about long-term accounts.
Yeah.
If you have a good globally diversified portfolio, you should own literally thousands of companies in your one account.
Right.
It's U.S. large companies, it's U.S. middle size, U.S. small size, international, emerging, developed. You own tons and tons of companies. So what one company does or doesn't do shouldn't affect the portfolio very much. However, in times like COVID, all of them were down, and all of them were down big and fast. So how do you react to that?
Yeah.
And we like to talk about volatility is the price of admission when it comes to getting long-term returns from stock market investing.
Right.
And the volatility and the price often just isn't paid, or people don't want to pay it, or people aren't able to pay it. So what ends up happening is you get people that get into the market, a bad event happens, they get a drop in their account, they say, forget this, move my money to cash, and they sit there and wait for it to come back up, and then they get back in, and they've missed so much of the returns, and you do that over and over and over again for decades. Yeah. And that's why I don't remember the number exactly, but it's pretty darn close, that the average return of the S&P 500 over the last 30 years is in the 9 to 10% range. Mm-hmm. The average return of an individual investor over the same period is in the 3% range. Why? Yeah. If they just track the S&P 500, you should be able to. But again, can you stick with it when you see the ups and the downs and the
Well,
fears and the airport shut down and all of that stuff?
Right. Well, what's coming to mind is the major pox to modern American society of sports betting.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
You know, but I think anyone who gets involved in that, they think they know something. And,
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think that's what you're getting at is, hey, you have this whole basket of stocks, just put it in there and don't try to be
Yes.
too smart.
Yes. It's like we've talked about before with exercising or workouts or so many things when it comes to life and business also apply to money and investing. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be exotic. It doesn't need to be some special secret sauce that someone knows.
Yeah.
It's just discipline. It's keeping that discipline over a long period of time. And even though that sounds boring is what wins long term. And the reason why, like you're saying, of people looking for the next flashy thing or, you know what, I'm going to be the one person that knows when the bottom is or when the top is of this particular market, you don't.
Yeah.
It's part of why you go back to in investing, there are actively managed mutual funds and there are passively managed mutual funds.
Right.
Actively managed, there's a manager who's actually buying and selling stocks, trying to make a return that beats the index that they're tracking.
Yeah.
Passively managed funds don't have that. They're just tracking an index. Whatever the index does, it does.
Okay. So, let's dive into that a little bit more. Also, there's ETFs, which is just
Sure. And there could be actively managed ETFs or actively managed mutual funds.
right.
Same thing.
Do you have a recommendation, one over the other?
No, mutual funds or ETFs are just different ways.
I
that
mean,
someone...
actively or
Okay, so let's get to that.
Yeah.
When you have active and passive, the math has proven that active managers cannot beat their underlying index more than 10% of the time, which means the underlying index beats the active manager 90% of the time. And the active managers that do beat their underlying index can't do it 2 and 3 years in a row. They drop back down to that mean. So that's why we talk to clients of saying there's no need to pay for the active management. We believe in passive management of a globally diversified portfolio and sticking with it. It matches whatever your risk tolerance is. If you are, in a position where you shouldn't be taking more risk than someone else, then you stick with that lower risk profile. But once we match the portfolio with your risk tolerance, you go passive management and you stick to it. That's our belief.
Okay.
And obviously there are plenty of advisors and others who are on the other side and believe in active management.
Yeah, it is interesting, this idea of holding on to something over time. I guess what I'm laughing about is this idea that even a broken clock is right twice a day. But in a way, it kind of works. We have a show on this radio station earlier on in the afternoon called Faith and Finance, and I heard today a guy called in and he had invested in silver at $6, and what is it at now? I think he said 90.
And then it came back down.
Oh, did it?
So
Okay.
when did you sell? Again, we come back into that same
Yeah,
conversation.
I was listening to that. I was like, I haven't followed precious metals.
Yeah.
I've been busy trying to make Christian AM radio great again. But it was like shocking to hear because I have some friends who I know over the years have bought and sold precious metals during those times. And we're not speaking into your opinion on precious metals.
Sure.
Just the idea being this guy who hung on to it long enough, eventually it exploded and just skyrocketed.
Sure. And I would say what you're talking about a broken clock being right twice, I would apply that even more on the active side.
Right.
Sure, you may be right here and there,
Yeah.
but most of the time you're not.
Right.
And when we're looking at a passively managed fund, just for instance, if you hold the S&P 500, the actual companies in the S&P 500 is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Companies are dropping off and new ones are coming on. Certain ones are getting larger or smaller, so the percentage of the 500 gets changed.
Yeah.
So there is movement inside that one fund. It's not necessarily just buying one company and sticking with it forever. That's not what we're talking about either. Plus, we do make sure that we recommend a certain percentage to each sector, depending on your risk tolerance. And when a certain sector does really good and another sector does really bad, it's rebalancing and get it back down to the percentages we initially talked about. So there is still movement in there. It's not just set it and forget it. However, I would say some of the best clients, some of the best investors long-term are the ones who only keep an eye on making sure we're not paying too much in expenses, making sure that we stick with our risk tolerance, but they are not the ones sitting there on their phone looking at the balance, looking at the market every day.
Yeah.
Those are the people that fall prey to the constant daily fear and greed that shows up on your TV screen every time you turn on CNBC or Fox Business.
Yeah, that's interesting. You talk about falling prey to greed.
Fear and greed, those are the things that pull us the hardest when it comes to money. And
Interesting.
especially, again, I go back to CNBC or Fox Business. If you turn on a CNBC in the middle of the day and the market's up, you don't see much on the screen. If the market is down, it looks like the whole screen is flashing red. Markets in turmoil, red, fear. And it's part of it. It keeps eyes on the screen. It's part of what sells. But at the same time, it is not a good investing mantra to follow and believe.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, the whole point of media is to keep folks
Eyes on the screen.
scared.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hopefully, we aren't doing that here on this radio show.
Yeah, it should be the opposite, right?
Exactly. Super interesting. A lot more to dive into. If you're just joining us with Jonathan Lopez, he's over at TrueVise Financial Planning. They're right here in El Paso. The website is truevise.com. It's TRUVIZE.com. The phone number is 915-502-0096. I love just what you're saying, Jonathan, about this idea that fear and greed are really what can erode a sound financial plan. And that's important to remember on days like this. Also, the format of this program is not usually call-in, but you can call in today. We have about 30 minutes left, but call in sooner if you want. If you have a financial question, the number is 915-779-0016. We'll put you on air. Before we have our traffic report, Jonathan, what do you think about precious metals?
So again, it has to go back to a client's risk profile, how much risk they should be taking, how much risk they need to be taking, depending on how you set up their portfolio. But we do believe that precious metals could be a good part of a client's portfolio, more as a hedge than anything else, and not necessarily as you see some of these, especially if you're listening to the radio all day, you will hear so many advertisements about gold IRAs and silver IRAs. And the mistake that I believe too many people make is putting all their eggs in the one basket of precious metals. And I do believe that it could be a great hedge against a certain currency. So for instance, let's say you have 10% of your overall portfolio in gold or silver. If there is some deflation in the US dollar, having that precious metals portion of your portfolio will help you to combat some of that inflation where it takes more dollars to buy the same amount of goods. Well, the gold or the silver will also be worth more. So it can be a good part. I am definitely not against holding precious metals as an investment. What I am against is going all in one thing or another.
Okay.
And too many times, the fear that gold, precious metals, silver is sold upon makes people say, I'm going to just take all of my IRA money, all of my cash, and I'm going to throw it all into this one asset.
Yeah.
And that's where we see mistakes happen.
And especially they want to do that when the price is high.
Sure. Yes.
right? Yeah.
Probably because fear is highest,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
There's going to be
exactly.
times when it's highest or not.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm against. And if it was anybody saying, should I buy gold? Should I buy silver? I think we ultimately come back to the plan. First, do you have your defense taken care of?
Right.
Right? Do you have your emergency fund? Do you not have high interest debt? Do you have the main things covered first? Then if you do, let's talk about your portfolio as a whole. And sure, it can be a piece of that for a specific reason, but you shouldn't just be going out and buying that when you don't have the other bases covered first.
Right. Okay. A lot more to dive into in the remainder of the program, but right now we have Charlie One on the phone. Charlie One, what are you seeing out on the roads this afternoon?
And a few trouble spots I want to go to in Central first because we have Gateway North at Paisano, collision here, lane closures here, Gateway North at Paisano. Then we go to Fort Bliss, Villas, and Sapper. We have a crash working there. Central area, crash at Idaho and Denver. Caution right here. But a lot of slope, what I'm looking at is a lot of slope going on in on the west side, Upper Valley. For example, I see a lot of slope, I-10 at Trans Mountain, I-10 at Los Mochis, I-10 at about Artcraft, and just to mention a few of these. For example, I-10 East at Mesa, they take away the right lane. I-10 West Inland Park, take away the left lane. I-10 West at Trans Mountain, take away the right lane. I-10 East at Western, left lane. I-10 East at Red, take away the right 2 lanes. So anywhere you go up and down on the west side, Upper Valley, you're going to be running into single file traffic. You're going to be very slow-moving traffic. All that stretch right there, starting at about Wrestler, Sunland Park, Thorn, Trade Center, up to Los Mochis. Just a lot of slope on both lanes, so caution there. Andy, back to you.
Charlie One, this afternoon we have Jonathan Lopez in the studio. He's with TrueVise Financial Planning. We're talking about just needing a wide basket of investments so that we can be ready for different types of events that can happen around the world or even with our family. And this morning we kind of had a crazy situation with the airport that appears to have been resolved. But when you think of a wide basket of investments, I think that there's one investment that truly we can count on, and that would be a 32-ounce container of Menudo. Where would you suggest that folks find that container?
Well, that's true. That way you can be just about ready to eat that at any time in emergency or when you have free time. Maybe you're in a rush at home, but you have that Menudo already in the refrigerator. So you say, well, I don't have time to go to a restaurant right now, but I'll just grab this Menudo, pop it in the microwave or oven, and I'm good to go. And you can pick it up at Eastside Choice Meats, Lomaland, and Traywood, and that's that Menudo, delicious, homemade, delicious Menudo, Andy.
Thank you, Charlie One. We'll talk soon. Yeah, I'm not sure what that horn was. I hope Charlie One wasn't out on I-10.
Yeah, really.
That was something else. Okay. So a lot going on the roads this afternoon, but we're back to talking financial planning, talking about, I don't know, these world events that can cause both fear and greed, as you said. This morning, when the news came out about the El Paso airport being shut down for 10 days, then I saw that New Orleans airspace, something was happening. I think in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, what other cities are going to be added?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk 5, 10, 15, 20 more cities.
Yeah.
Already in my mind, it's like snowballing. But let's say that happened. 20 airports around the country in major cities had a closure for the next 10 days and there's no explanation, and you have clients calling you. What are you going to tell them?
Tough one. I think I'd go back down to, let's look at your overall plan. Do you have cash saved? Are you able to go to work? Are you still getting paid? If you're not getting paid, then that's why we have the cash saved. And first, sticking with the day-to-day stuff. Is that handled? And if we have a good plan in place, it should be. The long-term stuff, we don't need to be worried about because it's long-term. We're talking about years down the road. Sometimes when that conversation is more difficult is somebody calling saying, hey, it's February 11th. I'm supposed to retire next month. And this is happening. What should I do?
Sure.
Should I move my money in my 401k? Should I move money to to cash? Those conversations are a little more difficult because the time horizon seems a little closer, right?
Right.
Part of something that we believe, though, is reminding even retirees, if you retire March 11th, that doesn't mean March 12th. You're taking all of your retirement money and moving it into the checking account and spending it the next day, right? Most of it's going to continue to be invested long term, and we're going to use it as we need it. So even in that case, the time horizon is still long enough that things like an example you gave shouldn't necessarily change the overall investment plan and philosophy.
Yeah.
So it's just bringing people back down to, all right, in practice, what does this mean for you? Because that's where I think all of us as people have some difficulty when something crazy in the world is happening. The news, everyone's saying the world is ending, we're going to war, whatever could come up. Again, I go back to COVID.
Yeah.
There was fear of we may never go back to the way life used to be. You have to bring it down to what it means for you and your family and your particular plan in practice.
Yeah.
And a lot of times our job is just reminding people of those things. It's calming people down. It's being the voice of reason in times of chaos.
Sure.
We are an unbiased advisor from the outside.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it's your own money, when it's your own account, that you're seeing the ups and downs, it's very hard to be rational with your decisions. And that's part of what clients have us there for, is to call us and talk through some of these issues.
Yeah, I think it, again, going back to that one phrase you said, fear and greed. I think with fear, something happens and the only thing we see is that thing, even if it's a massive thing, and we see no end to it.
Yes.
And it's overwhelming. Absolutely. I've been there. Greed, on the other hand, I think it's maybe a little bit different because you also see one thing, but it's one specific little thing that you want to chase after.
Absolutely. And we have examples all the time of clients who were one specific risk tolerance. We're trying to hit one specific goal. We are on track. We don't need to take any more risk than what we're doing right now. We're going to get to that goal as long as you just stay on this road. And yet the market or their investments or their accounts have done really well.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, well, should I be more aggressive? Should I put more money into this investment? Because look how good it's doing. I think maybe I should be more aggressive than I've ever. And it's having conversations with them of saying, are we thinking about this for the right reasons?
Right.
Because if it's not just trying to hit the goal, if it is, well, I don't want to miss out. That's another thing, fear of missing out on a potential better investment.
Of course.
That could drive you to make some mistakes as well. So again, part of our job is
like investing in Bitcoin 2 weeks ago.
sure. Is crypto, that's a question we get all the time. Should I put my money in Bitcoin? Should I put my money in crypto? And again, our job is kind of bringing things back to the boring foundation and what are we trying to get to, and are we on track? And if we are, don't worry about the noise. You just keep going. Just keep chugging along.
Yeah, love it. Again, if you're just joining us, we're with Jonathan Lopez. He's of True Vice Financial Planning. We do need to take a break. Before we go into the break, this is the part of the program where KELP Radio thanks all of its impact partners. And today I was thinking, which impact partner should I highlight? And I just realized it should be True Vice Financial Planning. Yeah. So True Vice Financial Planning, Jonathan is with us today. Jonathan and Drew come in regularly on this program, share their insight with our audience. So grateful to them for that. The website is truvize.com. That's truvize.com. And the phone number is 915-502-0096. We're so appreciative to True Vice Financial Planning for joining us here at KELP in our journey to serve our community through radio ministry. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
This is Pastor Steve Castrita. I'd like to extend the invitation for you to join us in service every Saturday at 5 p.m. at Redeeming Grace Church, El Paso. We are located at 2400 George Dieter inside Iglesia Philadelphia. We're a young church on the east side of El Paso with no smoke, no lasers, and no gimmicks, just the uncompromising Word of God and a call to win the 915 for Jesus Christ. We'd love to meet you and your family. God bless you, and thank you for listening to KELP.
915.
Testify.
So growing up, I actually grew up to be a Muslim, and it wasn't up until high school when I started going to church and I didn't know who Jesus Christ really was. It wasn't up until April of this past year in 2024 when I fully surrendered to Christ. I was an alcoholic. I was a man full of lust. I was just lost in the sinful nature of this world, and I didn't know how to comprehend certain things. I didn't know how to have a proper relationship. It was just tormenting me from the inside. But I'm here to tell you today that Jesus Christ changed my life for the better, serving at the capacity, knowing that I have a purpose and moving with that purpose because I know that the world is coming to an end soon. My name is Marvis Davis, and I'm here to tell you that if Jesus Christ did it for me, he could also do it for you too.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb
And by the word of their testimony.
desertvoice.media.
You have a bookkeeper, a CPA, an attorney, maybe even a financial advisor, yet your finances still feel scattered. At TrueVise, we bring it all together. Taxes, investments, insurance, estate planning, one coordinated strategy built for business owners. We work with your professionals to keep things organized and get things done. One advisor coordinating every moving part so you don't have to. You can visit TrueVise.com to learn more. TruVize.com.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Freca. Today we're with Jonathan Lopez of TrueVise Financial Planning. We've been talking a little bit about the news in El Paso from this morning. You know, we made national news. It was exciting.
Yeah. No press is bad press.
Well, you know, and it's interesting. At the beginning of the program, we talked about what Jesus said. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. And maybe that's also for us to bear in mind that we shouldn't be alarmed. We should continue doing what we're doing until the end. And when the end comes, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes.
But it was a super interesting morning. I know it was frustrating for a lot of people. Just this idea that we don't know what's going to happen next. Life is out of our control. I'm sure there were some people who just rolled their eyes and went to work and didn't think about it ever again.
Sure. I'm sure there's many people that didn't even know it happened. They're going to get home tonight and see the news and say, oh.
So it is interesting to look at. And again, we're talking about how we deal with finances as far as that's concerned. I think it's important, even broader than finances, in our lives, you know, stay the course. You know, if we're doing something and we believe that this is a goal that God has given us, that we stay that course, whether it be a job, a business, maybe a ministry in a church, whatever the case would be, not to jump from one thing to the next all the time.
Yeah, especially when hard times come.
Sure.
And thinking, oh, well, maybe this is not... Going back to you're talking about what Jesus said when Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble, right? Not you might have trouble, you will have trouble.
This is
but
what
take
he
heart.
promised.
I have overcome the world, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about promises. When we think about promises of God, we usually talk about good things. Right. That is a promise. You will have trouble. Not necessarily a good thing, but then the promise right after that he has overcome the world. That's what we should hold on to. And it means, like you said, staying the course many times, even when it's hard, even when it seems like it may not work out, even when the noise all around the world is screaming to you to change. The best thing may be to just continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and I meet so many people who say things are getting worse and worse. I actually don't know if that's true or not. I don't know, but sort of. I don't know if it matters. We're just supposed to do what God has called us to do, and leave the results up to Him. But Jonathan, how many times have you been on this program?
Probably 8 or 9 times.
8 or 9 times, and you came today without Drew. Sad day. And we were talking before we went on air. You've never gone through a lightning round.
I have not.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So should we do that, Mac Daddy Del Norte, for Jonathan Lopez of True Vice Financial Planning?
Yes, definitely.
You chose to pick on me today when Drew's not here. Right?
Absolutely. So just a little primer of what this is all about.
Getting nervous.
Yeah, so it's rapid fire questions for Jonathan Lopez of True Vice Financial Planning. And we are Christian radio, so we do believe in right or wrong answers. But also as Christian radio, if you give a wrong answer, we'll do our best not to be judgmental. As Christians, we struggle with that sometimes, but we're going to do our best not to be judgmental. So without further ado, Mac Daddy Del Norte, cue up the lightning round. So, Jonathan, you were born and raised in El Paso?
Yes.
Okay, so the first question is a culinary question.
Okay.
It's a question you're asked when you go out to eat, and the question is simply this: red or green?
Green.
That is correct. Okay, and where's your favorite place to answer that question?
Las Palmas Mexican Restaurant.
Las Palmas. Where's that?
East side.
East side.
There's one far east past Joe Battle, and then there's one George Dieter Treywood-ish.
Okay, Las Palmas.
It used to be called Gill's Mexican Restaurant.
Okay.
And then when passing on to his son, they changed the name. It's Las Palmas. Shout out Las Palmas.
Okay.
It's my favorite.
I trust a restaurant that's named after a person.
Right. Yes.
But
it was, so you can trust.
Yeah, but his son is keeping the legacy alive.
That's right.
He's
yep.
doing well. Las Palmas. Las Palmas sounds like a little bit fancy. Like
it's
probably the same food, but the menu prices went up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little rebrand and a little increase
from Gills to Las Palmas. Okay.
Yeah, no, good stuff.
All right. So you're proud to be an El Pasoan, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's imagine that you have someone coming to visit you in El Paso. They've never had the privilege of visiting the borderland in their life. This is their first visit, and you really want to impress them with your hometown. And where's a place that you will take them to impress them that's not a restaurant?
Chihuahua's Game.
Chihuahua's Game. That is correct.
I started to have a funny feeling that maybe no matter what I answer, you're going to say to make me not feel bad.
No, we're getting there.
All right.
All right. So
when you were asking the question, I had all these restaurants lined up, and
Yeah.
then you said that's not a restaurant. It put me on the spot.
But that isn't that interesting? We always equate a good time in El Paso with food.
Of course.
But there's plenty of other things.
Sure,
So it's
yeah.
good to
Yeah.
be reminded of that. The most common answer to that question is Scenic Drive.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Scenic
Beautiful.
Drive is pretty good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Chihuahua's Game, I like it. And that's a great segue to the next question. So Chihuahua's is downtown, the stadium. It's super fun when there's a Chihuahua's Game. Downtown kind of comes alive. We've really seen a rebirth of downtown. I remember when I got married 25 years ago, downtown El Paso was a different world than it is today. So hats off to our city leaders and everyone involved with that. So the San Jacinto Plaza, the central square of El Paso. What is the theme?
Alligators.
That is correct. See, Mac Daddy's starting to look a little smug, like he's got all the answers.
I'm just gonna say, with Glide, we lived downtown.
Okay.
For years, we had to be down there. So if I get something wrong, I'm gonna feel bad being downtown. But
good,
we're there.
Good.
Scooters. That was part of the renovation of downtown.
I applaud your bravado. So, can you explain why the theme is alligators?
There used to be live alligators there downtown.
That is correct. So there are no longer any live alligators. However, there's a sculpture of alligators.
Correct.
How many alligators are in that sculpture?
That I don't know. 4.
No way!
Let's go.
I'll tell you what, Mac Daddy, he is a numbers guy.
He is a numbers guy.
That's like the third time in the history of the lightning round that someone has got that right.
Yes.
We need to have like a special sound effect. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
So, funny story. For months, I told everyone on the radio, it was like false news, fake news.
Yeah.
That there were 3. And then I was walking around downtown, which I enjoy doing. Lovely evening with my wife. And I'm right there in San Jacinto Plaza, and I'm looking at it. It wasn't 3.
It was 4.
It was 4.
That's funny.
So that is correct. Okay, so give me a number. What will Bitcoin be worth 5 years from now?
100,000.
100,000? 5 years from now. So it kind of wouldn't make sense to put much into it right now.
That's much deeper of a question than a lightning round question right there.
Well, unpack it for us.
I have no idea. That one was, as much of a guess as my 4 alligators, that was as much of a guess for the Bitcoin.
Well, you were right with the 4 alligators.
Yeah, hey, maybe I'll be right with the Bitcoin.
I feel like we can hang our hat on the price of Bitcoin 5 years.
Definitely don't. Definitely do not take that.
Right. And with TrueVice Financial Planning, what is your prayer for that business?
That's a good one. My prayer is to educate and help as many people as possible to be as financially stable as God wants them to be. We work with clients who aren't necessarily believers, but we still believe that God stewarded money to them, and our goal is to try to help everyone be as wise with their money as they can be. And even if they're not our clients, part of the reason we love coming on the radio show is helping to educate everyone.
Yeah.
So that our hope is everyone from graduating high school all the way to and through retirement is as knowledgeable and educated as they can be about their money in order to make the wisest decisions they can make about their money.
Right. Love it. And when you look at your hometown of El Paso, if you could snap your fingers and change one thing, what would that be? You're thinking of something. You're afraid to say it.
Yeah, that's a tough one, Andy.
Yeah?
The easy answer, I'd say, I wish we had water, wish we had a lake, wish we were by water. That'd be really cool to have water sports and other things.
You've never been to Escárate?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. And
here, not a 2-hour drive, but here, that'd be awesome.
Right. And at the beginning of this program, in the intro, it says, the world is looking at El Paso. What will we say to the world? And the reason we have that is because when I moved to El Paso, I saw that that's exactly what happens. The world will look at El Paso, and then some correspondent will fly in from New York City and tell the world about our town of El Paso, our city. And that happened this morning. I saw a news report, and they weren't calling El Paso. Now, that did happen, but I saw a few news reports. They're calling someone in L.A., all these other places to tell the world what's happening in El Paso. If you could tell the world one thing about El Paso, what would that one thing be?
El Paso is the biggest small town in America in the sense that so many people know each other in such a large city,
Yeah.
care about each other. It's not like, to me, it's 22nd largest city in America, and it's not like any other large city in America in that right. We really care about each other. We care about our city. We are proud of our city. And many of us who are from here that even leave come back because it's home. So El Paso feels like home.
Yeah.
Even for those that end up moving here and that aren't from here, it ends up feeling like home. And that's something that I love about El Paso very much.
Love it. And since you're into investments and you obviously love El Paso, what is one investment opportunity you see specific to El Paso?
Something that we did with Glide and then again with Breaking 100 was bringing some of the cool things, attractive things that you see in other cities that many times franchises or other businesses, for whatever reason, think wouldn't work in El Paso. And I don't know why. You talked about people not knowing it. It's even large franchise businesses don't understand the power economically that's here. When you count Juarez, when you count Las Cruces, this is a massive, massive metroplex. And that's always, to me, a great opportunity for an investor or for an entrepreneur, is bringing the things that obviously work in other big cities, and they will work here when done right, and not looking down upon, for whatever reason, you get companies, and I've heard CEOs talk about that, oh, that won't work there. Oh, not El Paso, and passing us over. And I always think it's a mistake.
Love it. If you just joined us at the tail end of this conversation, I would encourage you to go to desertvoice.media tomorrow. Click on that 915 Talk link, and you can listen to this conversation. We've been with Jonathan Lopez of TrueVise Financial Planning. The website is TRUVIZE.com, TrueVise.com. The phone number is 915-502-0096. Jonathan, thank you so much for coming in today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Yeah, and as we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and maybe not go too crazy whenever we hear a rumor on the news. And let's give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Hi, I'm Joni Erickson Todd, and recently my secretary Francie had